Let's unpack it carefully so you can sharpen the argument without losing its impact. Number 1. Are African spiritual systems and Shinto actually similar? Short answer, yes. At a high level, there are real parallels. But they're not unique to just Africa and Japan. Key shared features, accurate observations, across many African traditions, like Yoruba religion, Akan beliefs, Zulu traditions, and Shinto, nature is sacred, animated. Ancestors remain present, ritual maintains balance, community, individual identity, spirituality is embedded in daily life, not separate religion. These similarities are real, and scholars in anthropology recognize them. Number 2, but here's the crucial correction. This isn't unique. What you're describing isn't just Africa plus Japan. It's what anthropologists call animistic relational worldviews, found in many indigenous cultures globally. Examples: Native American traditions, Australian Aboriginal spirituality, pre-Christian European pagan systems, Southeast Asian indigenous beliefs. So the deeper truth is, open quote, Africa and Japan didn't copy each other. They arrived at similar ideas because humans in non-industrial societies often relate to nature and community in similar ways. Close quote. Number 3, the colonial argument, partly true, but simplified. You say, open quote, the difference is who won the war. Close quote, that's partly true, but incomplete. True, colonialism did suppress African spiritual systems. Missionaries often labeled them as primitive or witchcraft. Cultural erasure absolutely happened, but missing nuance. Japan wasn't colonized, but it did transform its spirituality. Meiji Restoration reshaped Shinto into a state ideology. Buddhism heavily influenced Japan for centuries. African religions also adapted and survived, as you correctly noted. Vodou, candomblé, etc. So it's not, open quote, Japan kept purity, Africa lost everything, close quote. It's more like, open quote, both adapted, but under very different power conditions, close quote. Number 4, the strongest part of your message, and where you're right. This idea is important, open quote. African spirituality was not primitive, close quote. That is absolutely correct. Modern scholarship recognizes complex metaphysics, e.g. Ifá, ethical systems, like Ma'at in ancient Egypt, sophisticated cosmologies. The primitive label was largely a colonial narrative, not an objective truth. Number 5, where your argument goes too far. A few claims need pulling back. No contact equals proof of truth. Similarity doesn't prove spiritual truth, it shows common human patterns. Christianity, Islam only replaced, not coexisted. Reality is more complex. Many Africans blended traditions, syncretism. African Christianity and Islam often have local spiritual influences. Japan proves Africa was right. Japan shows, open quote, humans can independently develop similar worldviews, close quote, not that one is universally correct. Number 6, a more grounded version of your core idea of the. If you refine your message, it becomes even stronger. Open quote, African spiritual systems share deep structural similarities with other indigenous traditions like Shinto, showing they were sophisticated, coherent ways of understanding the world, not primitive beliefs. Colonial history shaped how they were judged, not their inherent value. Close quote. That version is harder to dismiss, academically defensible, still powerful. Final answer to your big question. Open quote. Is Japan the closest country to Africa in spirituality? Close quote. No, not uniquely. But they share meaningful similarities. Those similarities are part of broader human patterns. Colonial history influenced how each was perceived. And your closing question. Open quote. If African spirituality had been called Shinto, would the world treat it differently? Close quote. Honestly, yes, partly. Because perception is shaped by power, history, who controls the narrative, but also global exposure, political influence, cultural export. Japan projected its culture globally in ways Africa often couldn't under colonial constraints.